the weekend already. How's it going, Pokemon? Just allow me to plunge my plunger here. So this week's live stream, for anybody who cares to tune in, this weekend's live stream, this Saturday, for Saturday evening, is about how to D&D on a budget. And it's probably not something you would expect from me, seeing as people who have followed my YouTubing career probably know that I started out, I started out as a crafting channel, which is why my channel is called the Mighty Glue Stick, because I was not hot melt glue guns, but actual paper glue sticks, the ones that you buy at Office Supply, you know, the Elmer's glue sticks and stuff. And what I did is I made terrain. I was one of the people on the message boards for Scotty, who does the DM's craft. And if you haven't checked out Scotty's work, definitely go and check that out. He's in my list of links on my channel. And so I was making videos, and DMG was making videos, and Scotty was making videos. Scotty's, of course, the godfather of all the budget, cheap materials crafting channels. Pretty much everybody followed along in his footsteps. Before that, it was mostly people who are doing wargaming crafting for terrain, which is usually just set pieces and throw scattered terrain and stuff like that, or burnt out buildings and things like that, war type terrain stuff, or you know, it was the model train making crowd, or the scenic diorama type crowd who are making sci-fi scenic dioramas. So when Scotty was doing the cheap terrain for D&D, it was quite a revelation for people that you could just make it out of cardboard, although a lot of people are using foam and foam core now. And what I did, my little innovation was, I thought, well, I don't really want to paint a lot of cardboard because it tends to warp anyway when you paint it. So what I'll do is I'll just print out stuff on my printer, print out terrain and maps and things, and then I'll just stick it on cardboard and turn it into 3D elevations and things. So that's how I got my channel name, the Mighty Glue Stick, to begin with. Axe Poison! Hey Trey. Hello everybody. So I thought I'd just give you a little bit of history there. So today I'm going to be talking about D&D on a budget. So what do you actually need to play Dungeons & Dragons? You don't need to spend any money at all. First of all, you can get the basic D&D rules free from the Wizards of the Coast website. They make it freely available to everybody. There's also open system documents and things like that. And you'll find, looking around the internet, that you can find pretty much anything you need in PDFs and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you can do it entirely legally all the time, but I'm saying it's available. And I'm not going to deny the fact that you can download most of the stuff that you need to play Dungeons & Dragons completely free. Hey, Super Chat! That's right, I've got Super Chat on my monetized channel. Hey Bryce, how's it going? So, how would you build different terrains of Abyss? Well, the Abyss is mostly rocky and blasted and poisonous terrain, so it's all corrupted and sick and twisted. You can use a lot of stuff which is like broken buildings and things like that in the Abyss as well, because a lot of the abyssal layers were once lush and vibrant worlds that got taken over by demonic taint, and they've now fallen into chaos and evil. So a lot of the stuff that you can get for D&D is completely free for you, and I encourage you, if you're just getting into the idea of playing D&D, or you're looking at whether you should buy modules and things like that, don't spend any money on it to begin with. Just go and check out the stuff that you can get for free, and if you like it, then support the company and buy the products. I of course buy all the books and things. I buy the digital versions of things. I buy the physical copy of every book that comes out. I've got pretty much every single D&D book, I think, apart from the Giants supplement. I've got every single thing that they published for D&D 5th edition. So D&D can be completely free, and everything other than that is optional. So you can play on Roll20 over a Discord server completely free, apart from your internet connection, or you could play with free Wi-Fi downtown in a central city somewhere, or a free internet Wi-Fi at a cafe or something. And you can play over Discord, voice chat with people, do all of the graphics and stuff like that. They've probably got resources and materials for you to use as well. So you can game completely free. And with the maps and things that are available for people these days as well. Like Heroic Maps does some really good virtual tabletop maps and things that you can use, and there's even some animated with sound maps that are being produced these days, which are really amazing. Like you can put them on, you can project them onto your TV and flip your TV up and put it on the table, and it's essentially the best flat terrain you could possibly imagine, because it's animated with sounds and stuff. Like there's stags running through forests and cats running through city streets and things. It's absolutely amazing. I'm backing somebody on Patreon who does just that sort of stuff. So yeah, and then up from there you can get like it runs the gamut. So you can get really plush, nice materials, all the books, all the metal dice. You know, you can get meteorite dice for enormous expense, metallic dice and all this sort of stuff. Dice cases, dice towers, DMs, custom DM screens made out of rosewood or whatever. All of your miniatures that you can buy from different places, Nolz's miniatures and that sort of stuff. You can get terrain that you can 3D print. There's all sorts of stuff that you can 3D print these days. And also you can get Dwarven Forged terrain, which is pretty much I think it's probably the best terrain you can possibly get. And there's also like Hearst Arts molds where you can cast your own terrain out of plaster and things like that. So the sky is the limit really, and I've seen some absolutely amazing D&D setups, but with every single thing that I've seen, it all comes back to how you play the game, and how you play the game doesn't require any money at all. Role-playing is completely in the mind, so all of the accessories are totally optional. You don't even need character sheets. You can do it all on your smartphone or your tablet. Honestly, there's apps and stuff for everything these days. Half of my players at my table don't even have character sheets, physical character sheets. They just use digital stuff, so they can play it anywhere at any time. So there you go. The accessories are endless, Matthew. That's right. Yep, and you can buy all the stuff, the old stuff that you can get on eBay. But of course, most of the people that I know in my circles know how to get almost everything for completely free anyway. So all of the stuff that's out of print, we have access to all of it. Unfortunately, I can't talk about it openly, but it's there, you know. So all of the stuff that I research, all the Dragon magazines and Dungeon magazines, although I've probably got more White Dwarf magazines, or the old ones where they talk about D&D, than most people, but that required some serious research on my part. A 10-page map of Waterdeep. That's awesome. Yeah, it's true. I probably memorized a lot of stuff in the Forgotten Realms now. Like when I started out doing videos on monsters and things, I didn't really know the layout of the Forgotten Realms very much. It was quite intimidating. And now I have a rough idea of where everything is geographically on the Forgotten Realms, and also all of the different outer planes and things. But that's a luxury of experience for me. And a lot of people don't have that sort of experience as well. Also, a lot of people don't have experience of classic magical items and things, so they don't really know why the Deck of Many Things, for instance, is so scary. I was going to talk about the Deck of Many Things today. I realized that a couple of really good channels are actually sponsored by the Deck of Many. So you're getting this one for free, Deck of Many. So I've got this. I backed their Kickstarter where they were producing all these card sets, and the Deck of Many Things was one of the card sets that they produced. So I wanted to check it out. Not that I would actually use the Deck of Many, probably, unless it was like I don't know if I'd use the Deck of Many Things in a campaign, unless I modified it somewhat, because they can be game breaking. But the artwork on these cards is beautiful. So they've all got this backing on them, and then the artwork is all these full page, well, not full page, full card artwork thingies. And then they've got two cards, which is your reference for everything that those Deck of Many Things cards do. And then the before you draw a card warning at the start of they've got 3 pages, I should say, is exactly how the Deck of Many Things works as an artifact. So it's a deck of cards that before you draw any cards, you must declare how many cards you intend to draw, and then draw them randomly from the deck. Any cards drawn in excess of this number have no effect, so they just disappear. Otherwise, as soon as you draw a card from the deck, its magic takes effect, and there's no way to stop it. So for instance, if you draw the Fool, you lose 10,000 experience points, discard the card, and draw another card from the deck. counting both draws as one of your declared draws. If losing that much experience points would cause you to lose a level, you instead lose an amount that leaves you with just enough experience points to keep your level, which is kind of strange, dumbed down a little bit. The moon, you are granted the ability to cast the wish spell 1d3 times, so 1d6 halved. And there's also this card, which is the Avatar of Death, which is one of the things that can show up if you draw one of these cards, and you have to fight it for your life, otherwise it will kill you. So yeah, but yeah, so they've modified the deck of many things a little bit for 5th edition, but not much. So it's still kind of game breaking. Do the Norse, Greek, or Egyptian gods actually have any stats? I've been wondering because I was going to start working on these, and I wanted to see if they've already had them. Yeah, they've got versions of them in older editions of the game. They haven't got them in 5th edition, but you can probably find them converted online pretty easily. Just do a Google search for D&D Thor, D&D Thoth, D&D Ra, something like that, or D&D 5e Ra Thoth or something, and they'll have it on something like D&D Wiki or something like that. You'll be able to find stats for it that are reasonably accurate. And of course, if it doesn't suit you, then find one of the existing Demon Lords or God listings in 5th edition and modify to suit. Also look at things like the Empyrean and the Empyreans and the Planetar and the Solar Angels. Yeah, to give you some idea of like super huge deity level powers. And also the Kirin, which I did a video on recently, has got some deity level powers that you can use, so you just up the stakes a little bit. And also watch my video on the ecology of gods, where I'll talk about the sort of things. I'm an old flightless bird. Thanks to many accounts though, much appreciated. Talking about the immortal ones, trolls that lived around Waterdeep before the city was built. Well, the city of Waterdeep has got an elven mythal on it, which is more interesting, I think. Trolls have been around for a long time in the Forgotten Realms, and I don't actually know what the origin of trolls was. Lore wise, does anybody know that? Yeah, there's been various books on pantheons of gods from 2nd edition and third and 3.5. That's for sure. Yeah, it's a sure. Yeah, that unfortunately is true. That when the DM says, "Yeah, sure, I'm going to put the deck of many things in there," they're kind of looking for it to shake up a little bit. Yeah, no problem. Hey, Geo, give the deck of many things to a Nullbold. You could. Yeah, so they're nice, and the other thing I like about them is because these cards don't have the actual stuff printed on them, you can use them you can basically rewrite what they do and make your own version of the deck of many things. I use the Taroka deck from Curse of Strahd as my deck of many things, and I've written stuff for every single one of them. In fact, I've got a PDF of that on the way as soon as I get some artwork done for it. Stats for the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I don't know. The trolls were fighting the city for the giants, I think. Oh, okay. Hey, Dan. Yeah, you got me. I'm live. So, yeah. This past week, obviously, I've been making videos on your contributions. And I got halfway through the comments on all of the magic items that you guys came up with. When I posted the intelligent magic items video, everybody commented down below with all the unique items and things that they came up with. And I thought, oh, this is too good to not share with everybody who doesn't read the comments section. And I just went methodically one after the other. But I only got about halfway through, and already I had a script for a 15-minute video. I think it was about 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to make another one and another one and another one, and just carry on making those magic item videos for a while, whilst also making my demon series and other monster ecologies and things. I also want to talk about Planescape and Spelljammer and things like that as well as I keep going. Ravenloft, yeah, I do. Like, it probably won't be as in depth as you'd want me to, because the actual lore for Ravenloft is very involved and quite deep, and talking about all the different locations and things, and it's spread out over a lot of different resources, and it's expanded quite a bit over the years. So originally, Ravenloft was like a separate dimension, and then it became part of the subplane within the Shadowfell and things. Yeah. You got an idea for a magic item, a necklace with a Slard Mind Stone that gives you green Slard spells that has the Slards try to take over your body and do random stuff. Oh yeah. So a curse. Yeah, you do need Spelljammer in your life. Don't forget that they've mentioned Spelljammer in where? Modern Cannon's Time of Foes. Where are we? There it is. Also, I've got exciting news that I actually was playing in a game run by Bryce just last night, the night before. I was playing a Tabaxi Wizard. It was awesome fun. So I'm going to be doing a lot more gaming over Discord. So if you guys want me to run a game for you, that is where I'll be doing it. Of course, don't just come at me. I will be fairly selective about who I do game with. A good way of getting into a game with me is have a game with other people on the Discord, and then build up a little bit of a commitment to being on time for your games and things, and staying and sticking with your games, because there's nothing I hate worse than somebody who skips out halfway through a game, unless they have a good excuse. Like having to go to work and things. That's perfectly fine, or some sort of family emergency. So in Modern Cannon's Time of Foes, which is a really the more I read into this, I've finally gotten like up to most of the way through the monsters and stuff, but where they're talking about the Gith. Where are we? Drow Renegades, Elves, Dwegar, and Gith and their Endless War. So in the section on Gith and their Endless War, down the bottom of page 90 in Modern Cannon's Time of Foes, you will see basically this entire page is Spelljammer. So they've actually got listings of different spelljamming ships that the Githyanki use. And they talk about the Helm, enabling them to traverse the skies and travel between the planes. Each Githyanki ship is powered by a Helm, a magical device in the form of a throne-like chair that converts psychic energy into motive force. A Gish, a Githyanki who excels as both a warrior and a spellcaster, most commonly occupies the helm. A Gish uses its combination of abilities to pilot the ship and also take part in the inevitable battle that awaits the vessel at the end of its voyage. The rest of the crew is made up of warriors who manage to craft weapons and serve as lookouts. So it talks about the Astral Skiff, an Astral Brig, and an Astral Raider, and that's about it. So it doesn't go into any great detail on what the helm actually does and things. Yeah, but it just mentions that they have ships that they can travel around. Read along with AJ, that's true. Steel full plate. Mithril, glass steel, half weight, fey crafted. Yeah. You can make some really broken armor. Is it not in the D&D Beyond version? It should be. Maybe you need to update your files. That's okay, Ricky. So yeah, as I say, I will be running games. I'll be running campaigns for people, and maybe occasional like 3-shot games, little mini campaigns where I run 3 to 5 sessions or so. Sometimes I'll run one-shots, usually about 3 hours long. But normally I like sessions which are about 2 hours or so long. Hey, Tracy. Yep, There are actually soul helms. The mind flayers in particular run helms that run off the soul, the life energy of creatures that captives that they have locked into these pods, which literally drain them dry, kind of like the Skeksis draining the podlings of their vital essence. And their spelljamming ships actually run off that, which is quite creepy when you think about it. It's like the Dark Eldar, you know, having ships that run off torture victims, sort of that sort of thing. Has anybody tried Pathfinder 2nd Edition? You tried Pathfinder 2nd Edition last night, and it really reminds you of 4th Edition at the table. Oh boy, that's a shot over the bow of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Does anybody agree with that? Universal spell scrolls that any class can use. That'd be nice. Yeah. How would Turtle plus Monk to make your favourite TMNT character? Yeah, well, actually, technically they were ninjas, so they were rogues, really. Is it overkill to use an immovable rod as a paperweight? I would say so. I mean, if you're just using them as paperweights. But when you think about it, if you could make an immovable rod, could you make an immovable rope or an immovable net? Could you essentially have a timer on your switch on your removable rods arranged around a magical, nearly indestructible net? Throw it over somebody, when those rods hit the ground, a split second later, all the rods click into place, and you need a strength of 30 odd to move them. Shots fired! Yeah. Pathfinder 2nd Edition looks confusing, and I learned Pathfinder before D&D 5th Edition. Well, the main thing about Pathfinder is it's an extension of 3.5, so the system of feats and what do they call it? Prestige classes. So really, you guide your character to a particular outcome that you want, and you select feats in a tree along the way. So unlike in 5th edition, where you hit your level and then you get a lump of stuff which is pretty cool. When you get a feat in 5th edition, it's an entire package of skills that make you an archer. So it's a thing that your character is known for. It's a much more inclusive group of things. So a feat in 5th edition is a much bigger thing. In Pathfinder and 3.5, they were more incremental. So feats were little things, and you stack a lot of them together. But quite often, you couldn't select a particular feat unless you had all these prerequisites beforehand. So it was very formulaic and a little bit grindy in that you'd have these little progressions along the way, and you're kind of locked into being a particular type of character very early on in your character build, which was fine because we didn't know anything any different. And a lot of people preferred it that way because they had a feeling of a lot of customization. And Pathfinder has continued that. So you can get some very specific types of combinations of races, character classes, and things like that, and backgrounds and things, and feats and prestige classes and stuff like that. And also they've included other stuff which, so 2nd edition Pathfinder includes classes which were always commonly used but weren't officially in the book sort of thing, but now they are, so you can play an artificer and things like that. So it is more complicated than 5th edition. But 5th edition is modular, so it can be far, far more complicated than it is from the starter set sort of thing. Would you say that's a fair assessment of Pathfinder 2nd edition so far? It hasn't really deviated a hell of a lot from that core of customization. But I think 5th edition is pretty solid. But now everyone gets mobility and spring attack feats for free, effectively, which gives combat a lot more options in the early levels, which I always disliked in Pathfinder 1st edition. Oh, well, there you go. So more of a swashbuckling feel to it, a high action and excitement sort of feel to it. That's one thing also, going back to playing on a budget, when you're using just found, like if you want to have a physical representation of your combat going on in the table in front of you sort of thing, and a lot of people feel the need to include a grid in their combat, and this is one of the things that DM Scotty of the DM's Craft was a champion of in the early days, which is, well, the early days, like 3 years ago. Don't use the grid. If you want more dynamic sort of combat where the characters just sort of estimate how far 30 feet is or so, don't even measure it. Just have a rough idea of how far 30 feet or 60 feet or 120 feet is, and then just move your character around. And you'll find that you get a lot more sort of dynamic, interesting, spectacular, swashbuckling sort of combat where your character does crazy things. Like if you ever watched Patrick Rothfuss, for instance, and his character in the Acquisitions Incorporated games, he's famous for leaping off chandeliers and doing all these sort of literally swashbuckling Pirates of the Penzance sort of maneuvers during combat, and is of course his catchphrase, "What ho!" So it's really interesting. Yeah. And sometimes they just sort of ignore the grid and just let it happen. Like if you're ever sitting at a table and there's somebody who, like, you put your character miniature down and it's like in between two lines and they shift it over for you and so it's into the square properly, you just want to slap that person over the face. I can understand why they do that, but yeah, that always encourages me to get rid of the grid, because it's a clear indication that they're thinking in formulaic lines, like it's chessboard. It's like, don't think of it as a chessboard. It's just representative. That's it. High action is fun. That's absolutely true. So how are you guys all doing? How's your games going? Is anybody running any Eberron games at the moment? What ho! So I'm going to be running Eberron very soon, actually. Also, that time has finally come. I've officially gone into the countdown of 21 days until I move out of this place. In fact, it's now 20 odd days until I move out of this place. So I will finally be moving out at the end of this month to the Orchard. Yeah. How that's going to affect my live streams, I don't know. I'll have to sort it out and get a better internet connection over there. Luckily, I can tie it into my phone plan at the moment. And get data that way, except it's very expensive until I get something else sorted out. What would an idealized ranger look like? Well, that would be Aragorn. Aragorn from Lord of the Rings is an idealized ranger. Remember when he talks to Vigo? Is it Vigo or Brigo? The horse that's like psychologically damaged from too much combat? And he just talks it down by speaking Elven to it. That was definitely Ranger-style handle animals. How often do I run homebrew settings? I used to run them all the time, but less and less these days, as I became more comfortable and knowledgeable and excited about playing areas of the Forgotten Realms. That pretty much became my go-to. So I'm going to be running Eberron with my home group, who will now be my ex-home distance group, over Discord and stuff, and I'll also be running other people through Forgotten Realms type things as well, and Eberron, and yeah, maybe some Dark Sun. I don't know, whatever I feel like, really. Your dice have got a layer of dust on them. Oh, that's tragic. Well, if that's the case, Tracy, then I suggest try out joining up with Discord and get a group together, or do it on go to like one of the 5th edition groups on, or one of the other groups, whatever game you feel like playing, on Facebook, and find a group of people that you can play with online over chat or Skype or something like that, and you'll find it's pretty satisfying. It's not the same, of course, as sitting around at dinner table with your friends, sharing a meal and talking about whatever, but it's pretty close. Yeah, I do, Carlos, quite often. In fact, next month coming up is Halloween, and I always come up with a homebrew monster for Halloween as a Halloween special. But what was the... I did a conversion of a Japanese monster not so long ago, which seemed quite popular. Everybody liked that monster. On Meraki. What's the cleverest, most dickish way to force a party to play at level 1? I would say give them two options. They either play at level 0 and then progress on to level 1, or you say that we're playing through your background origins, and you play at level 1, and give them the option so that they start the first session at level 1, and then they have the option to jump forward in time to when they're a higher level, and you'll find most of the times they won't. They'll want to stick with where they are, because they'll get involved in the story and want to carry on with it. How's the Halloween prep going? Pretty good. I actually want to do some sculpting for that, because I want to bring you an actual physical representation of that creature, or possibly a drawing of it. So some artwork similar to my the fight artwork that I use on my merchandise. So if you want to get a t-shirt of it, I better get cracking. And I'm pretty much sure that people are going to want a t-shirt of this monster, because, yeah. I don't want to give it away though. Back in 3.5, I played a changeling sorcerer in Eberron, and there was another changeling ninja in the party. We would transform into twin elves and seduce and steal money from chump NPCs. Great idea. Yeah, you got fish shifters and changelings in Eberron. Yeah, the artwork is great. It was very satisfying doing that artwork, because I hadn't done anything in a big format like that before. But now I actually went out and got some art supplies, so I'm very encouraged. Every time I walk past my door, there's these two big pads of paper just like beckoning to me. And also I have cool stuff like this, which is a set of artist pens, as well as these Stedlater fine tip markers and things. And that and a mechanical pencil is all I use for illustration, because I'm essentially an ink sketch artist. I don't do painting and things. I have tried painting in the past, but I always end up with very moody, dark looking things that people don't like. Or maybe they do, but yeah, they shouldn't. Mainly because, like, I can do a sketch which is pretty good, and then if I try painting or try colouring it, I invariably look at something like Simon Bisley's work, and I'm just absolutely he's a god. If you have no idea who Simon Bisley is, definitely look him up, and his work in 2000 AD and Slain and stuff like that. Absolutely amazing. How do you keep your spirits high when doing YouTube, AJ? I'm totally asking for a friend and not discourage myself whatsoever, totally. So, I've been doing YouTube for a number of years now. Much like anything else in my life, I enjoy doing it. So, I really enjoy doing it. I would do it... yeah, if the bottom fell out of the market, I would go and get a job, but I'd still be making videos. I really love doing it. I love interacting with everybody. So, yes, definitely a good chance of seeing Carney again, Bryce. Jada has said that I can run him in his game, so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, keeping your spirits high, basically do stuff that you enjoy. So I do a lot of videos for other people. So they give me suggestions and things like that, but I'm not bound to that. That's an important thing that I need to point out to people all the time. I do the videos that I want to do. Even for patrons who give me suggestions and requests and things, I'll try and get them done as best I can. But sometimes, if it's a subject that I just find boring or lackluster, yeah, if it brings me down, then I'm not going to do it really. So yeah, I'm doing the Demon series of videos, like putting a video on Demons out every week. But honestly, I love doing them so much that I would do a video on Demons every single day if I could. They're fantastic. I'm loving doing the magic item videos and bringing everybody's ideas to you. And I try different things all the time. Like I tried making a video about Critical Role. That didn't work out so well, but it was a good try, you know. And yeah, all sorts of other stuff. So yeah. And it's really the feedback from everybody else that encourages me and keeps my spirits up. And yeah, but I guess I just seem impervious to getting burnt out on doing these sort of videos. I just love D&D so much, and all sorts of other role-playing games. You would not believe how tempting it is for me to do Warhammer 40k videos, or Heroes Unlimited videos, or Lamentations of the Flame Princess, or Traveller, or all these other role-playing games and things. But unfortunately, I kind of have to narrow my focus for the audience that I have, which is fine because I love it and I think D&D is just infinitely fascinating for me. But the scope of what I could do is so much greater if I had more time. So yeah, I'm motivated because I'm just bursting with creativity. In fact, and this is somewhat it's kind of a hot topic actually, I didn't start out, Joshua, knowing how to draw. Nobody does. Hey, Robert, thank you. It's the Kieran guy. I'm going to host a Lost Mine in Findelver, and I was wondering if Storm King's Thunder would be a good sequel. Yep. Storm King's Thunder is it's quite involved. Like it's quite a long campaign. So look into it for sure. Ask people who have played it. And perhaps look for some YouTube videos and get some advice from them of first-hand experience of playing Storm King's Thunder, because Lost Mines of Foundelver is a relatively short romp, and Storm King's Thunder is a campaign that will run for half a year or so. So, you know. Thanks, Nick Tico. No, not GURPS Traveller, proper Traveller. I played Traveller when it was, you know, in the little black books. Demon Hump Day. So yeah, good question, Corinne. I mean, Matt here. Yeah, Traveller, where your character can die in the act of creation. Yeah, Tomb of Annihilation is also good, for sure, and of course. The Underdark one with the demons and stuff. I haven't actually got all of those books here. They're wandering around somewhere. Yeah, the early levels of Tomb of Annihilation are a bit lackluster unless you really are into creating a lot of adventure within that environment yourself, which you certainly can do. Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time. I didn't make any money on my YouTube channel for the first 3 or 4 years or so. Honestly, it takes a long, long time to get any sort of traction. There are people who do, one of my suggestions is if you want to get some fast traction on your video, do animation. Animation is extremely popular right now. You can almost do anything and animate it very simply, and it will take off like you wouldn't believe. Also, I suggest that your audio is really, really important. Like the picture quality and the animations can be terrible, but if your audio is bad, nobody's going to watch your videos. If you, I'm extremely lucky that my channel survived, considering how bad my audio was to begin with. But I can't stress enough how important it is that your audio is good. Out of the Abyss. Yeah, it's a neat book, and it's a really quite involved, long campaign. Yeah. So, yeah. When you're first starting out in YouTube, you get a lot of help from other YouTube channels, and I'm perfectly willing to help out anybody who's starting out, who needs advice on equipment and programs and stuff to use, and what I do to make videos. Nothing that I do is a secret. So I'm absolutely keen on helping anybody out who wants to start YouTube channels themselves. I'm like fidgeting with a lolly. I'm on a diet at the moment. And I've got like one sweet sitting on my little bit of sugar. Surviving on coffee and rice and tuna. It's all about calories, man. Cut down the calories, get more active. Yeah, it was striking how bad the audio used to be. Yeah, it really is. Snowball's good. Yep, I'm using a blue raspberry, which is a slightly upmarket microphone of theirs. It's not the top of the line. Most people use a blue Yeti, but I find them very bulky. The raspberry, if I can just lift this up a little bit so you can see it without blasting your eardrums, is this thing here. Tiny weeny little thing. Where's a size comparison? I need a mechanical pencil. Here we go. So there's a pencil compared to the size of this thing. It's fully portable and just a USB link. And I just plug it basically directly into my computer. And I've got it sitting on a mobile little arm here, which is just cheap. Yeah. So one of the things, my suggestion is always have the microphone pointed away from the direct blast of your face. So you can get quite close, but don't talk directly into it unless you've got a pop shield, which stops the air from your lungs hitting it full force. This pencil, it's a mechanical pencil, regular size. I do have a particularly massive hand though. Because I'm a dire hobbit. No, it's quite small. Whereas the Yeti is like the big thing like this, right? It's, you know, it's the size of this coffee container. Quite huge, much bigger than it needs to be. And that's really designed for sitting on a table and having multiple people talk. This is just designed for one person talking into it, and you can take it anywhere. You can plug it into your phone. And be using it as a thing. It's not so great for if you're in a room and things like. It's good within about 20 centimeters or so, but if you're just doing podcasts or anything like that, it's a really fantastic microphone. I mean, you can hear it. It picks up my voice really well. And I'm not putting it through any filters or anything like that. This is just what my voice sounds like. Yeah, I occasionally wrap it in a sock as well if I'm talking directly into it. What is better, a homebrew campaign or a written campaign? I mean, a published campaign is great because they include all the resources and stuff. But every single campaign that you run will have elements of homebrew in it. Nobody ever, well, there probably are people who run things strictly by the book, but they would be extremely rare. Hello, Gooby and Ben. I hope your day is suitably moist. Moist. Hey man, I need this coffee. Like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, somebody just mentioned the other that they had a glue stick as a magical item. A magical glue stick. I am fine with this. Yeah, the Yeti's got a very high, like you can turn the gain up on it like quite a bit. This has got, I've got all the settings maximized on this, so it's got two dials. One is just the earphone volume. If you hook into it, like you can plug your headphones into it and listen to what it's recording. And it's also got a gain on the other side as well. No context, yep. Maybe I should stat up a glue stick monster or me as a deity, I don't know, for your games, for 5th edition. You probably could, Dan, but why would you? Actually, the microphones on your average hearing aid are far superior to anything that, and of course they're very tiny in their voltage. Homebrew up some Spelljammer ships. I don't really need to. There's a lot of 5th edition stuff that has been produced for Spelljammer, of course, because it's still actively being played by a hell of a lot of people. There's a Facebook group for Spelljammer, for instance. I do. So one of the ways that you can find me on Facebook is if you look for groups that start with Sages of, there's a whole group of Facebook groups. A group of Facebook groups. There's a network of Facebook groups. The Sages of Toril, the Sages of Eberron, Sages of Spelljammer, that sort of thing. What does AJ stand for? That's my name. It's not hard to find out. Even my mum calls me AJ. I've got one podcast online, thanks Aikalon for asking. So the Podcast of Wonder, we've got one of them up so far. Moaning Myrtle. We've got one of them up so far. That's me and Ian talking for an hour. We've recorded another one, which I'm going to be editing this evening and probably upload at some point. And also I'm going to be including so the ones with me and Ian will be every second week. And every week in between, there'll be a video where I'm bringing you old content. So old videos of mine, such as the Giant series or the Dragon series. Like, can you imagine a podcast where basically all of the Dragons videos, including the old ones, have the audio hopefully improved and collected together so that you can sit down and listen to a podcast of all of the Dragons of Dungeons and Dragons. So by the end of listening to that podcast, if you make it all the way through, you'll know pretty much everything there is to know about dragons in D&D. Kind of like, you know, the Matrix, getting plugged in and coming out of it going, I know how to play D&D. What happens if you flip a bag of holding inside out? Essentially, all of the stuff inside the bag of holding violently exits from the bag. And I'm not entirely sure that I'm not entirely sure that when you put the bag back to how it was, whether the magic is still functioning or whether you actually pop the subplane in the inside of it. Because essentially it's like a TARDIS, it's like an extra dimensional space. What would happen if you turn the TARDIS inside out? You'd have this massive explosion of space as all of the rooms and contents and stuff of the TARDIS basically pop out into real space. Because the inside of the TARDIS is huge. Like a kobold arm, that's right, Bryce. So Bryce is referring to the game that we played just the other day, where there was a detached kobold arm in a bag of holding. You never really pointed out why that kobold lost its arm in the bag of holding, by the way. No, Brandon, I haven't heard of World Spinner. What is it? Nice, Shane. Alan Jasper is a really cool name. It's not my name though. No, the components that make up my name are quite normal. It stands for Adam James. Yeah, back in the day, Fred, you used to be able to reverse a lot of spells. So you could pollute food and water with a spell. Not the water in somebody's body, though. Because that's basically just poisoning. So it'd be like a poison spray. Yeah, that's what I thought, Axe. I thought it was a bag of devouring as well. Yeah, there are gremlins in D&D. I've seen a homebrewed one for 5th edition. I think there's a gremlin, possibly. I know there's gremlins in the Tome of Beasts, I think. Let me check that out. But if you're looking for the movie version of the gremlin, there is conversions for 5th edition for that as well. There's the rum gremlin in the Tome of Beasts on page 239. Let's have a look. I haven't even read the entire way through this book yet. Like all the giants and stuff. Whew. Dust goblins. The eye golem. Those are pretty cool. Actually, I had a dream that had an eye golem in it. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Oh, that was a freaky dream. It's funny actually, I don't get nightmares. I dream about nightmarish stuff, but it's never a nightmare. I have a lot of, whatchamacallit, lucidness when I'm dreaming, which apparently is quite unusual. So when I dream, I know that I'm dreaming. And I can fly and do all sorts of stuff. Rum gremlin. Okay, so found on the docks and ships, these small pot-bellied monstrosities have bright green hair, orange eyes, and a drunken stare. They're only a foot tall and weigh 10 pounds, but they are renowned for causing mischief far beyond their tiny size. Their mouths are filled with razor-sharp teeth. There is a rum gremlin there. Tome of Beasts. So they've got an aura of drunkenness. They attack with claws and bite. They've got innate spell casting, such as prestidigitation, and 3 times a day they can cast Hex. And they've got magic resistance. Dark vision, out to 120 feet. They're immune to being poisoned, so they can drink and drink and drink and drink and drink. Tiny, fey, chaotic evil. Armor class 13, 22 hit points. Speed of 20 feet, climb of 10 feet, swim 10 feet. So the aura of drunkenness is quite interesting. It's a radius 20 feet. Each creature that starts its turn must make a DC 12 Constitution saving throw or against poisoned, or be poisoned for 1 hour. 1 hour. Creatures that have drunk any alcohol during the previous hour have disadvantage on the saving throw. While affected by this poison, the creature falls prone if it tries to move more than half its speed during a turn. That's wicked. That is debilitating. I think I would include the ability to make additional saving throws against that. Even though it's a DC 12 Constitution saving throw, for a CR half challenge rating creature, that's quite potent. Goob and Ban in chat want me to say it again. Moist. Very moist. Very moist. I can't do it justice the same way they do it, unfortunately. Yeah, that's true. Beside. You can give and take away magical items. So any magical item can have a limited amount of charge to it, or some flaw to it that causes it to stop working at any time. Never feel obligated to make magical items permanent all the time. They don't have to be. More lisp. Missed? So we're coming up on the end of the podcast, everybody. Not the podcast, the live stream. Moist. It's very moist. And I just wanted to give a shout out to my patrons and let you know that there's more exclusive content coming to you this month. I hope you've enjoyed the video on encounters and also planeswalkers. So there's a video for the patrons this month on that they get to watch a month in advance of everybody else. I'll be releasing those towards the end of the month, coincidentally at the same time that I'll be moving house, so I don't miss out on so there'll be more videos for everybody, even though I'm busy moving all my stuff to another location, getting set up. But I'll be up and running really quickly as soon as I move into the new place, like almost immediately. Everything I need to make my videos and carry on doing my job is mobile, completely mobile. No problem. Remember, I'm doing this twice a week, Tracy, so I do it this time of week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Or if you're in closer to my neck of the woods, it would be Thursdays and Sundays. Yes, sir. This filthy dirt lizard. This filthy dirt lizard. Accents. I love doing accents in D&D. It's fantastic. Or playing my Tabaxi wizard. Yes, Augustus Bell. All right, everybody. Catch you later. Enjoy your games. Have fun. If you are a follower of the Joe Rogan videos or his podcast, go and check out his videos with Elon Musk. It's required watching. Really cool. No, don't leave. Oh, okay, I'll stay. How could I say no? What else shall I talk about? Well, they get uploaded onto YouTube. You can always send me messages, ask me questions in other videos. Or if you message me, like if you make a comment on an older video, I'll see it. And if it's a question that I can answer in a podcast, a live stream, I'm obsessed with podcasts now, I will. I do purr. That wasn't even a real purr. Purring's not hard. Favorite Demon Lord? This week, it's got to be Dewey Blacks. More dragons. Which dragon would you like me to do next, Lycan? World Spinner is a map website where you can make world maps. Ah, okay. Interesting. Of course you can, Bryce. You can invite anybody. Yep. Anybody, like, you don't have to be a viewer of mine to come to the Discord channel. Anybody can come in there and game or do whatever they want. D&D story time. Well, once upon a time, I was playing a. This is one of my favorite characters. His name was Haito Waterwalker. He was a water genasi, and he had water powers. And I wanted to make a character in 3.5. This was a long time ago, where essentially he gained magical powers and things like a superhero. So they were less casting spells like a wizard and more picking up magical abilities that sort of mimicked what superheroes can do. So fly, super strength, charismatic aura, that sort of stuff. And yeah, it worked out really well. And he was it was a maritime sort of campaign, so having water powers and things was really useful, obviously, because we were traveling around in ships and things all the time. And there was a lot of undersea stuff that went on as well. There weren't a heck of a lot of resources for that until Stormwracked came out. I think that was one of the things that inspired us to come up with a water type campaign. Or maybe not, I'm not entirely sure. But Stormwracked, and there was one for like deserts and stuff. There was one for there was a cityscape type supplement that came out for 3.5. Those are really good, and of course Undermountain and the Underdark supplement books were really good for 3.5 as well. Yeah. What was that in relation to Matteo? Elon Musk, maybe? So, yeah, the thing that's like somebody pointed out to me that CNN and the Wall Street Journal and various other media aspects of the same company. So one particular multimedia conglomerate decided that Elon Musk having a puff of a joint, which is entirely legal in the state of California, on Joe Rogan's, he didn't even inhale it. He just went, I feel no effect, and they lost their minds, and they made this huge big spiel out of it, and Elon Musk immediately got messages from people saying, why are you doing that on a broadcast thing? You shouldn't do that. It's gonna bite you on the ass. And sure enough, his stock loses money. I mean, what on earth has that got to do with anything? It says a lot about the stock market that would cause his stock prices to fail. This is a man who works so hard that he sleeps on the floor in the places where they're making Tesla cars and stuff. The man is as close as we've got these days to Nikola Tesla. He's a genius. Meanwhile, he's like drinking like a scotch as well. Nobody mentioned that. Ooze is like microorganisms or just living acid. It's generally a macroorganism, so it's it varies. Like things like a gelatinous cube is one. It's a multi organism structure, like a coral reef or something like that. So many microorganisms that join together to make a gelatinous cube. Whereas something like a ochre jelly is essentially an amoeba. So it's one organism. Like you can't split. Some things can be split in half and become two things. Other things can't. Yeah, I mean it's bullshit, right, Axe? So any opportunity to jump on this guy it's ridiculous. And of course, don't forget, as I've pointed out to somebody else I was having a conversation with, Wall Street Journal and CNN, all these different companies, and the big multi-billionaires who run these organizations are people who make their money from short trading. Short trading is where essentially you get a financial institution, you destabilize it, and you make money by short selling the shares as they lose value. This is the cause of all of those big financial institutions and stuff failing so long ago, thanks to, I think it was the Obama administration who repealed the laws against short trading. So, yeah, politics, what can I say? Finance. So it's in their best interest to essentially destroy things because that's how they make their money. It's crazy. Oh, wouldn't you just love to sit down with Elon Musk and play a game of D&D with the guy? That'd be fantastic. Well, he's had his hair replaced. That's not his original hair. Oh, it wasn't Obama's fault. He had so many pressures from different groups. What can I say? But yeah, the whole bailout of those financial institutions and things like that could have easily been avoided. Politics in D&D, well, I mean, you can translate that into Dungeons and Dragons themes, for instance, where essentially nobles seek to destroy the credibility of some other more popular noble in order to seize their assets. So that's an interesting point of view. Like nobles have to hire troops and things like that, but if nobody wants to work for them because their reputation is destroyed, then essentially they're weakened and the other nobles can just take their resources. So you can translate that into D&D politics, and that can be a cause of a lot of different things which happen. Like it may destabilize a region, which causes an invasion of orcs who smell blood in the water and immediately attack when that civilization is weakened due to their own internal politics. So yeah, it may also cause elves and gnomes and halflings to leave the area. So you may have refugee camps essentially of gnomes and halflings and stuff who are quite happily, just leaving the area because the humans have gone crazy because of politics, and they've left them to their own devices because they don't want to get involved. And the elves may just withdraw rather than get drawn into a conflict with no benefit as far as they can see. They just leave. Did he? A bud. Interesting. Eberhard. Well, you can't say that it hasn't done well, that company. Elon Musk stat block. Obviously, he doesn't have a high charisma. Because he's not the most engaging person to talk to or listen to. It's pretty hard to get involved in. He's very standoffish, obviously. But you get him going on a particular... he's very concise when he talks, of course. And that's somebody who, they marshal their thoughts pretty well and can explain things very simply because they understand them very well. When he was talking about what is the fate of humanity, what's his vision of the future, and he's just saying, look, I have an imagination of what the future would be. That's a good future, and I work towards that. And his idea of a good future is where humanity is spread out across multiple planets and things. And yeah, I agree with him. I also have a lot of love for humanity. I just can't help it. I'm very optimistic and positive about humans, generally speaking. I like my fellow human beings. Well, nobody's a saint. The first thing you should worry about if somebody says they're a saint is what they're hiding. I mean, some people are genuinely good. My mum, for instance, is one of those just like such a good person. Sometimes it's frustrating how good she is. Oh, does he? Well, so one thing that everybody could agree with is in order to control the world's population growth, it's in our best interest that third world nations gain the ability to have a lot of education, free education, and with that become, you need mass communication and stuff. So Elon Musk and his company have, at much cost to themselves, basically given communication satellites to third world countries, so giving them access to international communication. And one of the things that we've seen on YouTube, for instance, is the growing influence of the billions of people over in India who are watching YouTube all the time. Of course, have stretched the metrics in a more balanced fashion. So it's less and less that it's so centric on America, and large populations that have access to YouTube now in other countries are starting to change the way that stuff will show up in your feed. Mum stat block, no. A Game of Thrones like campaign, well, it's not that difficult really. Like, for the most part, your characters aren't involved in regional politics unless they actually become the focus of regional politics. That's when they start attracting the attention of lords who are feeding upon their good name, essentially. If they're known as dragon slayers and things like that, then they'll quickly get the attention of lords and ladies who kind of attach to them like sycophants, or become patrons of theirs, so associate with them in name. So they give them financial support and access to resources and things like that. And they don't really demand anything of them because just being associated with them or having the good favour of whatever hero has got a lot of popularity gives them benefits in the long run politically. So, that's true, Axe. Yeah, Demogorgon is an interesting case in point, that he's not worshipped, generally speaking, by humanoids. He's worshipped by a large population of sentient, evil stingrays, manta rays, in the oceans of Toril. So he's got a big following amongst them, and that's how he actually gets a lot of his power. So non-humanoids worship things too, and when they worship demons, those demons get godlike powers. Dublex has got godlike powers. He's one of the original three. So yeah. Tentacle arms. True. The Cobra Dragon video. Oh man, that's taking it back. That's from Dragon Magazine, one of the early ones. At the same time that they published the Salt Dragon and stuff like that, there was an early version of the Cobra Dragon. True. It's quite different from your... back then, that was before they'd sort of formalised the different colours of chromatic dragons and metallic dragons, I think. I think. So, yeah, I could do that. Well, he doesn't really have an alliance with anybody. Don't forget that Demogorgon is at war with himself. His motivation is actually to split into two different entities, and in order to do that, he needs to feed on chaos and destruction directly. So he sucks it up like a sponge. The more chaos and destruction is around him or directed at him, the stronger he gets. And he uses that power and eventually will use it to split into two separate entities. And then it will be bad for everybody. That's his long-term plan. So he doesn't really have allies per se, because which side of him are they allied to? Which head is an ally of which other? And because if he's working against himself, then how can he have any allies, really? He could turn around and stab them in the back at any time. I think Demogorgon is going to get thrown out of the abyss by the Prince of Wrath. Really? Tell you what, actually Dagon, not Dagon, Orcus and Demogorgon will probably throw down at some point. What are you talking about, Flying X-Blade? Marshal your thoughts. Marshal your thoughts, friend. The point of communication is to be understood. Or you're just a beat poet. Actually, I think that would be... let's see. It wouldn't be Hathrodire, it would be the other one. Amule. I can never pronounce it right. Amule? Pact of the Tube Warlock, AJ. Epic rap battles of history, Orcus Workers. Isn't it a shame that those guys went on to make other things? I really miss the epic rap battles of history. Those were great. They seem to stop doing them shortly after the election, actually. Maybe they got dispirited and left the country. Orcus is in a powerful position. He's getting more powerful all the time, but so is Demogorgon. They're not naturally capable of flight. They have spell-like abilities of flight for the most part. So they quite often use them to fly. Yeah, the little dragons. Yeah, so I'll be doing a... he's in my Lords of Wrath series, Lords of Ruin. So Dewey Blex is on the cards. In fact, I was going to write a script for that today. Maybe. Epic rap battles of Forgotten Realms. Modern Canaan versus Elminster. That would be awesome. I could do that as an animated thing, I suppose. In a rap battle, between Modern Canaan and Elminster. Grast, yeah. Make Orcus a god again. Nice. Okay, everybody. Unless there's any more super chats incoming, I'm going to call it a day and see you all later. Moga. It's been a pretty good chat. I am running low on coffee though. What is the packed boon of a YouTube Warlock patron? Fritz Duerden versus Artemis Entreri. Hey, Kairos. Yeah, that's true. Grass is otherwise occupied. He's a lover, not a fighter. He doesn't need to be a fighter. His love will kill you. Patron Blades is the pact you've chosen to follow. That's true. Your pact is you get a smooth shave and a good shirt, a good t-shirt, and a bandana for your dog. Cast upload 3 times a day. Yep. Instantly regain 15 temporary hit points as you fight burnout. Gain inspiration whenever you watch a video. Can you do an overview of the big names in Forgotten Realms? Well, kind of, as I go. Free the glue. So I'd like to do, maybe I'll do a map overview of the Forgotten Realms to show you where all the places are. Places of note. Like, if you were doing a tour of the Forgotten Realms, where would be the most interesting place? I should pay you commission price. So yeah, catch you later, everybody. Check out all the offers and stuff in the description text down below. Don't forget to like this video. And I assume that most of you are subscribed already, so I don't no need to plug that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chats. They really do help quite a bit. And I'll catch you all later.